I feel like this shirt is giving major cowboy vibes. I keep just wanting to yell, yeehaw! What is this shirt doing to me? I do live in the Midwest, so like it suits the area that I live in, but like I'm not a cowboy. I'm not a yeehaw boy. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be comparing editions of books. The good, the bad, and the downright ugly. U-G-L-Y, you ain't got no alibi, you ugly. It's no secret that I am a book cover lover. I love looking at book covers. I love seeing the different editions of book covers, looking at all the international editions out there, being envious of certain editions out there, but then sometimes turning around and being quite thankful for the editions that we have here in the US. Before we get to it though, today's video has a sponsor. Today's video is being sponsored by Book of the Month. If you don't know anything about Book of the Month, let me fill you in. Book of the Month is a monthly book subscription box. Each month their team curates a list of books for readers to choose from, making the process of buying books a little bit easier. They always have a variety of genres to choose from and a selection of either new authors or authors who have been in the game for a long time. Book of the Month is the perfect way to make sure you're keeping your collection up to date with new releases. They also offer a skip option, so if you're just not feeling that month's selections, you can easily skip that month. Without being charged, might I add. Let's go over the two books that I selected for the month of December. First up here, I chose The Circus Train. This is a historical fiction book mixed with fantasy, which, you know, those are two things that I love. And in it we follow Europe's most magnificent traveling circus, and they fill each show with magic, like literal magic. That's the fantasy element that comes into play. I've always loved the idea of magical circuses. I've read a few books here and there with magical circuses, so I can't wait to delve into this one. I'm looking forward to seeing all the enchantment it unveils. And in the iconic Book of the Month blue box, we've got... I dropped the book. The book is okay. It's okay. I promise. The book in the box is Babel or Babel. I know people are going back and forth on the proper way to say it, and I am included in that group. How do we say it? Babel? Babel? I don't know. This is by R.F. Kuang, who brought us the Poppy War. She is now delving into the world of dark academia with this book. We follow Robin, who is one day stripped from his home in China and brought to Oxford University. He's found himself in the Royal Institute of Translation, and here they find magic within the words that they're working with. But Robin knows pretty early on that the work and training that he is a part of is being used and exploited for evil. I feel like I did a horrendous job of explaining this book, but it is a very hyped book currently. I'm very excited to get to it. Apparently it's a book that will like rip your heart in two, and that's just something that I'm always down for. Like, please, I welcome you to come into my life and rip my heart in two. This month, Book of the Month is doing a $5 deal where you can get your first book for $5. Hello? All you have to do is use the code WONDER at checkout and you can get your first book for only $5. I'm shook by that. Only $5. I'll leave a link down below in the description where you can find out more information on Book of the Month. Now it's time to dive into judging book covers. I'm only going to be going over 4 books today, but that's because these 4 books are super popular and they have tons of editions. But I'm sure I'll do more videos like this in the future where we go over more. Let's get started. We're going to start with none other than our beautiful, wonderful Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. According to Goodreads, there are 260 editions of Percy Jackson. 260! But anyway, this is the US edition. It's beautiful, iconic, we love it, we know it. But now let's go over the international editions. First up here, we've got the UK edition. I don't hate it, I don't love it either though. I am just in between here. I'm just kind of in the middle. This cover just kind of gives me movie cover vibes. Like, it reminds me of the OG Percy Jackson adaptation cover. Like, you can't tell me that's not the back of Logan Lerman's head. It's definitely not the back of Logan Lerman's head, but like, it reminds me of the back of Logan Lerman's head. Not that I know or have ingrained what the back of Logan Lerman's head looks like, because that would be weird. Why would I have that ingrained in my mind? I don't know. I don't just stare at the back of his head every night before bed. No! Not at all. Maybe what they did here is that they referenced the Percy Jackson movie so that they could appeal to that audience when making these covers. Like, that's what I imagine happened here because they're just very similar to me. Next, we have the Spanish edition here. I really like this cover. Like, I love the intensity of the blue. Also, we have a Percy that's a little less Logan Lerman-like. They've still got Logan Lerman vibes, but they're not entirely Logan Lerman. I love the action stance. Like, we are ready for battle. We're about to go in. Gonna fight the good fight. It's an eye grabber. It's gorgeous. I don't love this more than the US editions per se. Like, I still feel like the US edition is just iconic and beautiful, but like, it's a contender. It's competing to overtake the US edition, in my opinion. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I feel like a lot of you are gonna be like, nope, nope, nope. Next up here, we've got the Romanian edition. What's going on here? This is giving... This is gonna be mean. This is gonna sound mean. It's giving bad clip art. That's what it's giving to me. It's giving... I went into clip art, typed in Greek god, and this is the first one that came up. I need to calm down. I'm being really mean. I like the fact that the backdrop is black because it really just makes the image of the god pop. Can you tell that I'm trying really hard to find something positive to say? Like, to me, this cover is giving off the idea that we're following Zeus, and we ain't following Zeus. I know that Zeus is a major player in the series, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think this is a good representation of the book. Next up, we've got the Persian edition of Percy Jackson, and that is Logan Lerman's head. That's the back of his head, I'm telling you, folks. No, it definitely is. Like, I feel like this is just a movie cover edit that they slapped on a book. They just slapped it on a book. That kind of hurt. That was a hard clap. Anyway, even though this does just look like an edit of the movie cover, I like it. I like the colors. I like the kind of gradient style. I like the kind of rainbowish style. I'm here for it. I don't hate it. I don't love the title part of it. Like, I think the red kind of clashes with the rest of the image, but it could be much worse. Next up, we've got the Ukrainian edition. This one is kind of questionable to me. It kind of feels like fan art of Logan Lerman as Percy Jackson. Poor Logan Lerman, he's just living rent-free in my head. Rent-free. He didn't even ask to live in my head. He just lives there, apparently. This is not a bad thing. Let's pay homage to our king, Logan Lerman. Even though the movie wasn't all that great, it was pretty bad. It was borderline it was terrible. Actually, let's call it what it is. Terrible. I still liked some of the aspects that Logan brought to Percy, so I will accept this cover. Not that it needs me to accept it. It already exists, but I accept it for what it is. Next, we have the Indonesian edition. This one honestly catches your eye. It's an eye catcher, eye snatcher. I still don't love it, but I also can't deny the fact that it's like pulling me in. Like, I look at it and I am just being pulled in. I'm being hypnotized. The colors are rich and intense and full of suspense. The last one that we're going to be looking at with Percy Jackson is this Romanian edition. And I know that earlier I gave that one cover crap for having a Greek god on it, for having Zeus on it. Was it Zeus? Yeah, it was Zeus. But I like this one a lot. Like, especially if this book has gold foiling. Oh. Game changer, game changer. It's like Percy Jackson, but make it bougie. Percy Jackson, but for adults. It does feel a little uninspired in terms of creativity, but I'm telling you, if it has gold foiling, luxury, fancy, I'd eat it up. Even further if it was like gold foiling on the front, and then it had gold edges. Oh! Done. I think my favorites from this group were the Spanish edition, and then this Romanian edition. Like, those two, solid. Next up, we've got Throne of Glass. This is the US edition, not the original US edition, but we don't talk about the original US edition, even though that's the one that I own. Let's take a look at the UK edition. I've always loved the UK edition, especially the fact that they're just so cohesive. When they're lined up, they look so nice, so clean, so fresh. I imagine that they get pretty dirty easily though, because they are white. Though who's reading books with grimy hands? Not I, but I know some of you all are. I know some of you will eat Cheetos and then immediately pick up a book and you get that orange residue all over that book. I know how some of you are. No judgment though. Anyway, I've always loved these covers. I love the fact that Aylin's character just like fully stands out on these covers. The spotlight's on her, all eyes on Aylin. She is our main character. Next, we've got the Dutch version. I don't love this one only because it's a real person. I've never been a fan of real people on covers. There have been times when it's done well and there have been times when it's done very bad. Like, very bad, very bad. What are we thinking here, publishers? Why are we doing this to our covers? Anyway, this is giving like cheap cosplay to me. There's top tier cosplay and there's cheap cosplay. This is giving cheap. This is also giving Heir of Fire. Don't they know that Heir of Fire is green and Throne of Glass can't be green? Like, that's just not how it works. Throne of Glass is blue, Heir of Fire green. Fall in line. Get with the program. You're not allowed to step out of line or Aylin will come for you, and that you do not want. Next, we have the Spanish edition, and I actually like this a lot. Even though it's like not that super interesting, I just like the idea of the covers being in this kind of like silhouette format. I'm into it, especially if they all match. I don't know what the spines look like, obviously, but I imagine like lining all the covers front facing together and then just looking amazing. But now I'm remembering the fact that people don't often line up their books like that. So it all depends on the spines. If the spines had the silhouettes on them even, that would be amazing. Next, we have the Serbian edition. This is a Serb. I'm talking showstopper, jaw dropper, eye snatcher. This is giving me Brandon Sanderson books in the UK. They have those white editions that I'm obsessed with. They're so good. Here's some examples. I just love these covers so much. That's what this is giving me the vibe of. I love the mixture of white with blue. I just think it works really well, and especially if all of the covers in the series are done in the same way. That'd be so good! So good! I love that her cape like flows into a different art piece. Like, you're kidding. The brilliance, the perfection. I have no complaints here. Next, we have the Hebrew edition. Try to be nice. Try to be nice. Try to be nice. This honestly like low-key looks like a Barbie doll on the cover. I don't think it actually is. Like, I'm pretty sure it's a real person, but like at first glance I was like, is that a Barbie? Did they use a Barbie doll for this cover, which, you know, wouldn't be a bad thing. I think cosplay is amazing, and I think it can be done right. I just wish I couldn't tell that her wig was a wig. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of pulls you out of it and makes you remember that it's not real. Which I know when you're reading a fantasy book, like, you know it's not real, like, in the moment. But, like, sometimes it can be captivating enough where you're like, oh, this feels real. And I love that feeling. I love when a fantasy book feels real. But then I would look at this cover and I would just be instantly pulled out of it. I'd be like, oh yes, this is fake. The last Throne of Glass edition that we're going to be looking at is the Chinese edition. This is giving me Frozen vibes, which is kind of dumb because I feel like I just associate snowflakes now with Frozen. I just can't help myself. It low-key looks like a Frozen promotional though, but make it Throne of Glass. And I'm kind of into it. Like, I kind of like this vibe. Hear me out here. If the blue snowflakes on this cover were foiled, were shiny, shimmery, splendid, that would make this cover stunning. I'd be all about it. Clearly, I'm over here like shook at the idea. And then also having like snowflake sprayed edges. Ow, I'm hurting my throat by doing that. I need to stop. I just think it'd be amazing. Okay, I think my favorites from this batch, Serbian edition, I loved, and the Chinese edition, I loved as well. Those two are my favorite, I think. Next up, we've got Shatter Me. Here is the US edition. Again, not the original US edition. We don't talk about her. This is our cover now. We do not look at the past. No, no, no. First up here, we've got the Spanish edition of Shatter Me. Okay. Here, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to think of what I wanted to say, but I don't think I can be nice. I didn't know I was gonna be mean in this video and I feel bad. This is giving badly photoshopped prom photo. I said it. I'm just imagining somebody taking a prom photo and being like, I'm gonna make it art, and this is the art. I feel like anytime there is a Shatter Me cover with a dress on it, I just know they were trying to make it the Selection 2.0. You really tried it. Next, we've got the German edition. Another cover, another dress. This is giving me Sadie Sink and Stranger Things having her running up that hill moment. Is a demon consuming our girl Juliet and raising her into the sky? Someone call an exorcist. Someone call Warner. I feel like this cover and the Spanish cover that we just saw gives off the idea that her dress like transforms or melts within the story. And if it does, that's a plot point that I completely missed. Like, it has been a minute since I've read Shatter Me, but I don't ever remember her dress melting or transforming. Like, I missed that part. Another Spanish edition. This one is just giving off a completely different vibe from all the covers I've ever seen. Like, this is giving spy action adventure movie to me. And I like it for like a spy action adventure book, but that is not in fact what Shatter Me is. I mean, I guess in some cases Shatter Me does give off that feeling a little bit, like a tiny bit. Next we have the Swedish edition. This one is giving horror novel, but I also feel like it low-key fits Shatter Me. Like, when you think about the events at the beginning of the story of Shatter Me, this reflects that. Like, girl is being tortured quite literally, she's marking down the days. So I get the vision, I get the vibe, I understand this. I just don't feel like it fits the series long term. Like, what would book 2 look like, you know, compared to book 1? That's my only concern here. This is the Italian edition. This one is giving goth. It's giving the Delirium covers, but make it goth. Juliet in her goth era. Slay. Juliet heard a rock song and this is what happened. I don't hate it, but face covers in general just aren't my jam. That's the only pullback here for me. Next we have the Czech edition of Shatter Me. We've got an interesting texture moment happening on the cover, and then a fashionista Juliet in the backdrop. Juliet is dressed to the nines. I don't know why, and I'm probably wrong here. Like, I probably am wrong here. It's been so long since I've read Shatter Me, but I just do not remember the fashion being a standout moment in the story, but it probably was. Like, knowing Tahira Mafi and how fashionable she is, it probably was a big deal in the books, and I just don't remember that detail. So that part of all these covers with like the dresses and the fashion is like really interesting to me, because I just don't remember it. But go off, I guess. Let me know in the comments if that was a big deal in Shatter Me and I'm just stupid and I don't remember. I probably am just being stupid. The last one, Goodreads is saying this is the Serbian edition. It looks like the window of a car that's been through a rainstorm and it has those little raindrops all over it. And then an eyeball just like came through and crashed through the window. Like, why is this low-key terrifying to me? Also a little painful. Like, we've got an eyeball crashing through a window. Ouch! Just thinking of all the shattered glass in that eyeball now. No thank you. Looking at all these covers, I think that I just prefer the US edition of Shatter Me. Like, none of the other ones, in my opinion, compared. Lastly, we're going to be going over different editions for City of Bones. This is the OG City of Bones cover. Never has it been my favorite, but I cannot deny the fact that it's iconic. Like, looking back on it now, I'm like, this cover is pretty iconic. This cover alone just like shoots me way back in time. First up here, we've got the Italian edition. This is serving mystery, it's serving moody, it's serving angst, which honestly, now that I say all those things out loud, those are all things that are inside City of Bones. Like, add all those things up and that's what you get. You get City of Bones. So honestly, this cover kind of fits the vibe. You pass the vibe check. Next, we've got the German edition. I've actually seen this edition in person and it is beautiful. Like, this picture alone does not do it justice, but when you hold it in your hands, you feel the amazingness of this cover. It's quite literally stunning. It's up there on my list for best editions for the Mortal Instruments series. This is like an expectation versus reality situation though. Like, you look at this and you're just like, that's not that great. But then when you see it in reality, you're like, that's great. That is great. Next, we've got the Polish edition. This one is something. Why did they make Jace like a skater boy? The tank top is killing me. Like, it is sending me. There's just something about it. Why is it so funny seeing Jace in the tank top like that? Like, it's not that surprising to think that Jace would wear a tank top, but for some reason this image of him and the tank top is so funny. And then you just add the choker, and it just makes it so much better. Jace is in his emo skater boy era. Next, we've got the Bulgarian edition, and this is serving body yaddy 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 yaddy, like more so than the US edition served body yaddy yaddy. This is serving body yaddy yaddy. But also, Jace is being swallowed by his own hair in this cover. It's like his hair turned into a tornado, and it's just like consuming his face. Can we help this man see? How is he supposed to take down the baddies with the hair in his eyeballs? Next, we've got the Slovak edition. This kind of reminds me of the Jade City covers. I don't know if it's just like the green vibes it's giving that's reminding me of it. It's simple, it's discreet. Much more discreet than our body yaddy yaddy situation. That was like the one thing about City of Bones, is that I never wanted to read it in public because I just feel like it caught eyes. Like, people saw the body on the cover and they were like, huh? And let's be real, that first cover does not look like a YA book. Anyway, back to this cover. The designs on here are giving me like biker vibes. I think because of like the thorny designs, it's giving biker vibes. As a whole, this cover is a little bit uninspired. I would have liked to see more effort, but it's not the worst. Next, we've got the Spanish edition, and honestly, I am here for this. This is what I want. This is what I wish the US editions looked like when I first read the series. I love the rune moment. Obviously, runes are a huge part of the series, and I feel like it just makes sense to have a rune on the cover. It's super simple. It's not embarrassing to carry around. And I'm not saying that the OG City of Bones was embarrassing to carry around, but that's exactly what I'm saying, is that the OG City of Bones was embarrassing to carry around. Next, we've got the Czech edition of City of Bones. Jace do be looking different here. I would have liked to have seen him a little bit more confident, maybe. He looks like he's holding a blade and he's unsure as to why he's holding a blade. He's like, am I doing this right? You're doing great, Jace, sweetie. You're doing great. Just overall, not my favorite illustration style, but to each their own. If that's your vibe, catch your vibe. And the last one that we're looking at is the Mongolian edition. I don't remember the moment in the book where the skies turned green and the angel rune is shot into the sky like the bat signal, but maybe that was a deleted scene. Actually, I think that'd be really fun if that did happen in the books. Like, if shadow hunters are ever needed, they shoot a rune in the sky and summon them. That'd be epic. I'd be here for that. I think my favorites out of this batch are the German edition, obviously, because I saw it in person and it's just fantastic, and the Spanish edition. I love the Spanish edition. Those are all the editions I'm going to be going over today. If this video does go over well, then I might do it in the future. I think it's really fun looking at all the different editions of the books that are out there and just comparing like the edition that I own to the editions that are out there. Let me know down below in the comments some of your favorites that you saw throughout this video, or some that you thought were a little bit questionable. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye, yo! The last Throne of Glass edition that we are going to be looking at is for Throne of Glass. Oh wait. What?